What's up, YouTube? My name's Jack Armstrong. They call me Jack Daddy. It is fantastic to see you today. We love Jesus, we love our family, and we love the outdoors, and we like to build things. So come along as we build things, come along as we try them out, and don't forget, like and subscribe. What's up, YouTube? My name's Jack Armstrong. You're watching Jack Daddy Customs, and today we're gonna build a swing just like this. All the measurements you need to know, all the tips, all the tricks, follow along. All right, so this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need one 2x4x10, one 1x6x8, four 1x4x8s, three 1x4x10s. All right, so here's a few of the tools that I'm going to be using. A miter saw, tape measure, it's got a square, I got regular drill, impact drill, circular saw, finish nailer, a stapler, jigsaw, and a sander. Oh, one more thing, I also got a table saw. I'm gonna use it to put a few extra finishes on the edge. All right, so I found some free porch swing plans on the internet a long time ago, saved them as a PDF, and I've been using them all along to build some of these things. Everybody loves them, they're real comfortable, and I'm gonna show you kind of the plans, and we'll start getting on it, okay? So these are the plans. You can see they were kind of from Build It With Redwood, Adirondack swing. You can find these on the internet. So you can go get these plans and give you something to build it off of. I'm going to show you how I did it. First thing we're going to do is start with this right here. So these are the seat supports. We got to cut them at 19 inches and then a 15-degree miter, and then we're going to scribe this out right here. If you want to lay it out in 2-inch squares and follow these to a T, you can do that. I'm going to show you how I do it. So the way I like to do it is I like to take one of the drops off of our 1x4s. And I like to know that this is going to be the front, this is going to be the back. So what we do then is we know we've got so much show off of the front. So what I like to do is come back to about where you're going to be, make a little line. You know you're going to have about a 3/4 inch gap, make another little line, and just lay it out based on how you want your seat to sit as far as the curvature goes. So you know you're going to get back to this point, and that's going to be about the time when you need to start taking it back to the top and the back. So you just want a nice dip. You don't want to get so thin down here that if a big mama sits on your swing, it'll break. You don't want to do that. Next, we're going to work on these. These are the upright seat supports. So we're going to need two of them that are just 13 and 5/16 straight square, but then on the other two, we need a 15-degree miter cut on the top and the bottom. So if you're cutting it how I've been cutting it, you've got a 15-degree on one side. So what we want to do is we want to go to the square side up here, and we want to cut off a piece that is 13 and 5/16. We want to cut it square. All right, now we come back over here, we take our piece that is 13 and 5/16, and we lay it on top of this piece that we've already cut, and we square the ends on one side just like this. Okay, so we've got this side square, and then we'll mark this side coming off square as well, and then that way we can cut this at a 15-degree angle, and we will know that the height is exactly the same. Just right. So this is all you got left of your 2x4, and what we want to do now is cut this for our seat supports. So we're going to come somewhere about halfway, and then we're going to stack them on top of each other, cut the right angles we need. That way we get two exactly the same. This is not scientific. You can cut it however you want it to look. Now we're going to work on these slats and the seat supports. Now, to get the specs for all of those, you come all the way down to the very bottom, and right here you'll see this list. So what we're going to look for are the lower back rail, the middle back rail, the upper back rail, and then the front seat slat and the seat slats. So now we're using the 1x4x8s, and I'm stacking two on top, and I'm going to cut 44 and 3/8. That's going to give me two of my seat slats, and then I'm going to get the other two 1x4x8s, do the same thing, and then that's going to give me a longer section to be able to get the rest of my stuff out of. Remember, one of them you're going to need 50 inches, so you got to make sure you leave enough to have that piece for the upper back rail. All right, now take 3 of them that your drops. These are the sides that you still have. Get them nice and square on one end with each other. Slide them out, and we're gonna need three at 47 3/8, and our last one we'll cut at 50. Now we're gonna start cutting all these. So what you'll see is you're gonna need 6 that are long and 4 that are shorter. So to get our total lengths, we're gonna come down here and we're gonna look for the back slats. So we see we need 6 at 36 inches, 4 at 30 inches. We're using our 1x4x10s. We're gonna stack 2 of them up, and we've got them measured at 3, 6, and 9 feet, growing an 1/8 of an inch every time for the thickness of the blade. Now you take your last 1x4x10, divide it up into 30-inch sections, so 30, 60, 90, 120. And this is the last thing that we have to cut to size before we start shaping and giving radius. And you can see it's 27.5 inches long total length. Now we'll come back and we'll do these little cuts in just a minute, but right now we want to make sure we use our 1x6 and get 27.5 inches. What the plans call for are 3 inches up, 12 inches in, and then you make a line. And then it calls for a radius. Now it calls for a certain radius. The radius I use is a paint can. So I just put that paint can right on top of that, scribe it, and that gives us our radius. Now what we're gonna do, and a trick to help it move a little faster, is take the other piece that you're gonna use for the other side, clamp them together, and then cut them all at one time. Now we're gonna work on our radius for our outside pieces of our seat back. I just draw how I think an Adirondack ought to look. And once I get it right, I'll use it for my pattern for everything. So I think that looks good. All right, now on our 50-inch piece, this is gonna be the upper back rail. We've gotta do a couple of things. Number one, we've gotta cut a radius on each end just to make it finish out nice. And then across the top, we're gonna set our table saw to 15 degrees because this is gonna be leaned back 15 degrees. So if we cut a 15 degrees off the top of it, it'll be nice and level with everything else. It'll just make it look a little bit better. All right, the next thing is going to be to cut our front seat slat with the notch to fit onto our seat frame. So it calls for a 1 3/8 inch show on the front. That's what we need to lead. And it calls for a 1.5 inch inside. What I like to do is take a drop off of my actual seat frame. Sometimes it's not always exactly 1.5 inch. So to get a nice tight fit exactly right, we can take a drop and we can put it there, get it flush on the outside, and scribe it. And then we will know that we've got the exact right fit on each side. We're back at the table saw. This is the last step we're gonna really do to make this thing awesome. And I've got the blade set at 45 degrees, and I've got the bench set, or whatever this is, set to where it's just gonna nick the edges. So it's gonna put a nice 45 on the edge of everything that'll come into contact with your hiney. So it makes this seat even more comfortable just to do these small kind of extra steps along the way. On that very last seat slat that's gonna butt up to the back of the seat, we wanna cut that back corner off. So we're gonna set our table saw 30 degrees, run this through there, and that will give us a nice tight fit of the top of our seat slat to the back of the seat. All right, one thing the plans calls for is that upper back rail that goes at the top of each section, 16.5 inches. What I like to do is take the rest of our 1x6x8 and just cut a 16.5 inch piece and then go to the table saw and rip it. All right, so here's where we're at. We got our seat supports. Those are our seat slats, armrest, seat frame, uprights, armrest frame. We've got the upper back rails, we've got the middle pieces, we've got the outside tall pieces and the outside short pieces. So now we're fixing to start putting it together. We're gonna start by assembling the frame. All right, the next part is to put on the seats front and the seats back. All right, so we got our frame built. Now we're fixing to put our upper back rail on first, and then we're gonna put these handrails on. And remember, we cut this at 15 degrees at the top, so you just wanna make sure that goes the right way. And you wanna make sure that you got it on there enough, so the 3 inches of this will come right to the edge of it. What we need to do now is lay out the seat back. The best way to do that is lay it out against the seat front. So we're going to take that, we're going to lay it out upside down, put our upper back rails on top of it where they go, screw them down, and then we got 2 back sections that we can just place on here. Alright, now the fun part, we get to put these up where they go. So what you want to do is you want to get them up, kind of put one screw in, see if you need to adjust it a little bit before you screw them all in. Alright, last step, and it's fun. Well, last step with the seat part before we have to drill a few holes and sand. So, we're putting these seat slats on. I use galvanized 2-inch 15 gauge nails. And remember, you got one that's a little different in the front and one that's a little different in the back. So what we want to do is put on the front one and the back one first, and then space out the other ones evenly. What I like to do is I just pick up a drop, something that I used earlier. That way I just get the same everywhere I go. And I'll just put that up against that, and then I'll put my 5/16 drill bit right in there and make sure I drill all my holes where they go. And then with the chains, you just want to make sure that they're coming in at an angle to hit your bolt. Okay, so even back here, wherever you kind of think about where the chain will go, that's where you want to drill your hole so it'll hit that bolt where you got it drilled. So we're gonna get those drilled, and then we'll start sanding. So I'm going to start with some 80 grit, and then I'm going to move up to some probably like 220 or something like that, just to make it nice and smooth all over. Alright, the last step is the bolts. This is what's going to hold your swing onto the chain. So you're going to need one 5/16 inch bolt, and we're going to stick that through. We're going to put a washer and then a nut, and then 2 washers, and that will pinch the chains together, and then another nut to hold it all tight. And here's the finished product. Got it in the back of the truck, ready to go deliver it. If you haven't seen the other video I made about a 5-foot swing, I'll link that in the description as well, and make sure you check it out. Alright, so here's some helpful information for you, okay? You can use any kind of wood you want to use. You can go use hardwood, you can use redwood, you can use cedar, you can use whatever. But we're using treated pine. Okay, so it's just like a deck. You want to treat it the same way that you would treat a deck. So let it dry out. After you build the swing, let it dry out, and then you can come back and stain it, finish it, paint it, whatever you might want to do. Just give it some time to dry out. Another thing, when you're at the hardware store, the lumber yard, wherever, make sure you spend some time going through the stack of wood. Don't just get what's on top. A lot of times, if you're willing to go through the whole stack, you can find exactly what you need with very few knots. Sometimes you can find everything you need without a single knot, and it looks like a clear wood, and you don't spend a whole lot of money making it happen. Another tip is when you're building it, make sure you plan it and lay it out where your knots won't be exposed. So a lot of times, you'll get knots on one side of the board and not on the other. You can plan it, lay it out where this side will be clear and the back side may have the knot. Well, this is the side everybody's going to see. So make sure you plan it out that way. Last thing, make sure you don't skimp on the sanding. That makes a world of difference when you're building these things. You can sand it nice and smooth around the edges, and this thing will feel so good to sit on. So I hope you enjoy. Check out my other videos, like, subscribe. We build stuff all the time. Thanks for watching.